Oh my God, guys. This is the game that has been on my backlog the longest of all the games. I bought this game brand new when it came out, and it has sat on the shelf and just till like a month ago where I finally was able to have it selected randomly for me. And it was at the very top of the list. And if you watch my videos on how I pick my games randomly, it's complicated, but fortune fell in my favor and it finally got picked, and I was excited for it when it originally came out, but my enthusiasm had waned over time as I had heard people get more and more frustrated with this game and talking about how it let them down and stuff like that. But I played all the way through it and I finished it, and it is Beyond Two Souls on the PS3. Guys, I bought this game, like I said, brand new when it came out, and when I pulled the wrap off of it, it had that like new PlayStation 3 smell to it, but that the PS4 and the PS5 games don't have. I don't know if it's manufactured in a different factory or if it's like the off-gassing chemicals from the clear PlayStation 3 Blu-ray cases, but it had a very nostalgic smell for me, and I kind of liked that. This is one of those David Cage, who is like the creator at Quantic Dream. One of his games. It's like a narrative adventure with puzzle elements. There's not really anything kind of like it. He did, Heavy Rain and Indigo Prophecy, both of which I've played and finished. And he also did Detroit Become Human, which I haven't played yet, but by all accounts, it's like his best game. They all pretty much play the same. And I really feel like they're more like a movie than a game. And I think that's what David Cage is going for. So what's the premise of this game? So the main character, Jodie, has this like spirit attached to her by this like ghost umbilical cord, and the spirit's name's Aiden. And she can use Aiden to move objects and sneak through walls and kill people. And she spent her whole life like being investigated by scientists until the CIA recruiter, basically against her will, and they make her into a spy. And of course, like every spy movie, they can't ever just complete the mission and have fun doing that. That would be too different. Instead, they always have to go rogue, and then they're hunted by the CIA or whatever. And in this game, I guess the twist is that she has to like come back and save the world, which is frustrating. I'm tired of that. Like, why does it always have to be save the world? Why can't we just have like a supernatural spy thriller where she's like trying to infiltrate a foreign government? I think that would be a lot cooler of an idea, but this is what we're stuck with. Like all these David Cage games, you walk around with these clunky controls until you find something to interact with, and all the action involves doing these quick time events, and they always feel really forced, and a lot of times they don't even matter. There are videos on the internet of people playing like Heavy Rain and failing every single quick time event, like 50 in a row in this chase scene, and it's absolutely hilarious as the character just like bumbles and falls all over everything, and like it doesn't look like there's any way they're gonna make it, and then they succeed in the end. It's very silly. But in this one, I guess the gimmick is that you can switch over and control Aiden, but it basically just, it works the same way as controlling the main character, except you're in 3D space. You can move up and down and go through floors and stuff, but a lot of the times, because you're connected with this invisible umbilical cord, you're limited in how far you can go. So you're hanging around Jodie, the main character, most of the time, but you're still just like looking around until you find something to interact with, and then you interact with it and the game advances. In this game, the gameplay has never been the strong point of any of these David Cage games. And this one has a problem too, where it locks up on you occasionally, which is really annoying. There are some fun sections of it where there are like stealth sections where she's being trained by the CIA, and some parts where she's on a mission in another country. But they're all like towards the end of the game. And I don't know why they didn't lean harder into that, because they were the best parts of the game to me. And the fact that they're like basically set pieces used at the end of the game to mix things up was a little disappointing. The game itself looks really good. It looks okay for a PS3 game. The character models are really nice, and their faces are, I don't know what Quantic Dream does, but they're notorious for how well their faces are scanned into the software. They look very good. You can see the pores and the scars on their face and everything. But their movement and their body language is like very squarely in that uncanny valley sort of place. It looks very wooden, not wooden as in like the material, but wooden as in awkward. And it's kind of almost comical how bad it looks. It looks like a real human head put on like a mannequin body. In the game, it's just too dark in terms of not like its subject matter, but in terms of its gamma. It's hard to see at times, and I couldn't find any way to really adjust the gamma in the game. So I was just forced to look at it darkly. I turned up the contrast on my TV or the brightness on my TV, and that helped some, but still, I don't know what was going on there. And the game also opts for this shaky hand cam look that was real popular around the time this game came out. Every movie had that shaky hand cam look, and it's dated now. I'm done with it. I'm kind of like, let's just see the action without making it seem more intense than it is by jostling the camera around. But the game, it was decent. It had some real highlights. I really liked the CIA missions, and I thought having like a ghost as a spy was a really cool idea. And the voice acting by Elliot Page and Willem Dafoe were great. I thought they kind of knocked it out of the park, and they're great actors, so that's to be expected. But there are some real flaws with this game. Let me just get right into that. The narrative, this is one of these kind of like choose your own adventure sort of games. It's unaffected by your choices or failed QuickTime events. Like they don't even really seem to matter a lot of the times, which makes them feel like they're filler, and that really as you're playing, nothing's really at stake. And for some reason, I don't get this. The story is told out of order, like for no reason, like a la Pulp Fiction. And I don't get that. It led me to this like philosophical quandary in my mind, and of what's better like in a story, like understanding a character and their motivations in the moment, or like throwing all of that away to add a sense of mystery and confusion for like a cheap plot twist later. I don't know. I feel like David Cage opted for the latter. Like he washed over the importance of the character development and understanding the story to like have a weird twist ending, and I don't really get that. I feel like the game would have been told more effectively, or the story would have been told more effectively if the game play was in order. But what are my final thoughts on this? David Cage, he fills his games with these like long segments of normal life stuff, like going to get something from the garage, like a light bulb, or taking off your boots, or brushing your teeth, or, opening a door. And I don't get why he fills his games with this stuff. Like, why? There's so much time you're just doing these mundane tasks. I guess it's to help you feel like this character's real, like a real person, and you're trying to sympathize with them. But really, instead of that, it just makes you dislike them more because they're boring. And in direct contrast with that is, like I said earlier, I don't understand why games, this one in particular, but in general, why games feel the need to escalate everything to like saving the world. Like why is it always about saving the world? Why can't it just be about isn't being a spy good enough? Is that not a good enough thing? It's really cool and novel to most people. Most people out there aren't spies. But, when you're just trying to save the world all the time, where do you go from there? It's kind of like the movie The Seven Samurai, and why it's so touching and has stood the test of time now. It's just these samurai trying to protect a village from raiders. And like, that's the world to them. We got to protect this village. And the stakes feel even higher than they do in something like this, where, it's this huge sci-fi odyssey that takes place over half of a girl's life, and she's got to save the world from unseen forces or whatever. It's just, I don't know. I feel like once you've hit that point, there's nowhere left to go. So you need to innovate. And this game kind of failed to do that. It didn't really innovate like it was supposed to. So it's been on the backlog forever, and I finally beat it. I beat Beyond Two Souls, and I was a little let down, but it kind of fell where I was expecting it to be based on what I've read on the internet over the last... Oh Lord, when did this game even come out? It came out in 2013. 9 years ago. It sat on the backlog for 9 years. Anyway, It's okay. It's fine. If you could pick it up for $1 or $2 or something, or maybe if the PS4 re-release has the bugs fixed and it doesn't crash on you several times at like important points that you end up having to replay, try it out. It's like a 6 out of 10. It's good. Aww.